The silence woke him. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that makes your chest tight. The kind that whispers something's wrong before your eyes even open. Cade Rios blinked at the ceiling. White. Too white. Clean in a way his bedroom never was. His body locked up. Muscles went tight. Breathing slowed. Mind sharpened instantly. This wasn't his room. He sat up fast. The sheet slid down his chest. His eyes dropped to the fabric clinging to his skin. Black. Soft. Oversized. His stomach twisted. That shirt. The one he wore alone. The one that never left his apartment. The one no one ever saw him in. His fingers brushed the fabric like it might disappear. It didn't. He looked down. Bare legs. Smooth skin. Warm. Not his. Someone else was in the bed. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. Cade turned his head slowly. His heartbeat stayed calm but his mind was screaming. She lay beside him. Facing away. Dark hair spilled across the pillow like ink on paper. One arm tucked beneath her cheek. The hem of his shirt rested high on her thigh. He didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared. This didn't happen. He didn't drink enough to forget. He didn't bring people home. He didn't wake up next to anyone. Ever. The woman stirred. A soft breath. A shift of her shoulder. Her eyes opened. She turned her head. Their eyes met. Fear flickered across her face. Then recognition. Then something worse. Horror. Her lips parted. Her voice came out barely a whisper. Boss. That word cut through him like a blade. Cade's throat tightened. He knew that voice. He knew that face. Ilara Cruz. His accountant. His ghost. The woman who moved money so cleanly it was like it never existed. She sat up fast, pulling the shirt down over her legs. Her hands shook. What, she started. Cade raised a hand. Silence. Because he heard it. Footsteps. Light. Small. Quick. A child's footsteps. They echoed down the hallway. Closer. Closer. Ilara's face drained of color. Her breath caught. Then a voice. Soft. Innocent. Familiar. Uncle Cade. Are you awake? The world stopped. Cade's mind went blank for half a second. Then it snapped back into focus. He moved. Fast. Silent. Crossed the room in 3 steps. Locked the door. Turned back to Ilara. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. Stay here. Don't move. Don't speak. Her lips trembled. Her eyes were wide. Terrified. Who is that? She whispered back. Cade didn't answer. Because if she knew, this moment would shatter into something none of them could survive. The knock came again. Louder this time. Uncle Cade. Ilara's hand gripped the sheet. Her knuckles went white. Cade stood frozen between the door and the bed. Between 2 lives that should never have touched. His nephew's voice. Ilara's presence. His shirt on her body. None of this made sense. None of this should exist. The knock came again. Louder. Uncle Cade, I'm gonna be late for school. Ilara looked at Cade. Her eyes begged for an explanation. He had none. His hand hovered near the door handle. His mind raced through every possibility. Every timeline. Every choice that could have led here. Nothing fit. The hallway went quiet. Then the footsteps started again. Moving away. Slower this time. Cade's shoulders dropped half an inch. Elara exhaled shakily. But the relief didn't last. Because a new sound replaced the footsteps. A phone. Ringing. Loud. Insistent. It wasn't Cade's ringtone. It was coming from somewhere in the room. Elara's eyes darted toward the nightstand. She reached for it. Pulled open the drawer. Her phone sat inside. Screen glowing. Unknown number flashing across it. She looked at Cade. Fear all over her face. I didn't put this here, she whispered. Cade stared at the phone. Someone knew she was here. Someone knew exactly where to find her. And whoever it was, they were calling right now. The phone rang again. And again. Elara's hand shook as she reached for it. Cade grabbed her wrist. Stopped her. Don't, he said quietly. But. Don't. The ringing stopped. Silence fell again. But this time it wasn't peaceful. It was waiting. Cade released her wrist. Stepped back. Ran a hand through his hair. His voice came out calm. Too calm. Get dressed. We need to leave. Elara nodded. Started to move. Then the phone buzzed. A message. Cade looked at the screen. 3 words. We know everything. His blood ran cold. Elara saw it too. Her breathing quickened. Cade, what did we do last night? He met her eyes. I don't know. And that was the most terrifying truth of all. Because Cade Rios never forgot. He never lost control. He never woke up confused. Until now. And somewhere outside that locked door, his nephew was waiting. Somewhere out there, someone was watching. And the life he built on distance and discipline was about to collapse. All because of one night he couldn't remember. 24 hours earlier, Cade Rios had been untouchable. No records. No witnesses. No mistakes. He ruled the city quietly. Not with noise. Not with fear. With silence and discipline. People didn't know his face. They knew his results. Money moved. Problems disappeared. Questions went unanswered. And it all worked because of one rule. Never bring work home. Work stayed in the streets. In the offices. In the cars with tinted windows. Home was sacred. Empty. Safe. Until the night everything changed. Rain hammered the city like bullets. Streets turned into rivers. Visibility dropped to nothing. Cade sat in his car. Engine idling. Watching the mirrors. His phone buzzed. Elara's name flashed on the screen. He answered. Talk, he said. Her voice came through shaky. Breathless. I need help. Cade's jaw tightened. Elara never asked for help. She handled problems. Fixed them. Made them vanish. Where are you? He asked. 7th and Camden. I was followed. How many? 2 cars. Maybe 3. I lost one but. Gunfire cracked through the phone. Cade's foot hit the gas before she finished screaming. He found her 6 blocks away. Slumped against a brick wall. Hand pressed to her arm. Blood seeping through her fingers. She looked up as his headlights hit her face. Relief. Pain. Fear. Cade got out. Pulled her to her feet. Guided her into the passenger seat. You were careful, he said. Statement. Not a question. I was careful, she replied. Her voice shook. Careful isn't enough anymore. He pulled back onto the street. Rain pounded the windshield. The city blurred into streaks of light and shadow. Elara leaned her head against the window. Her breathing was shallow. Uneven. Thank you, she whispered. Cade didn't respond. Headlights flared in the rearview mirror. Close. Too close. His eyes narrowed. Hold on. The car behind them accelerated. Cade swerved right. Tires screamed. Water sprayed in every direction. A gunshot shattered the back window. Elara screamed. Glass exploded inward. Rain poured through the opening. Cade's hand shot out. Pressed hard against her wounded arm. Stay awake, he ordered. She nodded weakly. Her face had gone pale. Another shot. This one clipped the side mirror. Cade cut left. Hard. The car fishtailed. He corrected. Accelerated. The engine roared. The headlights behind them fell back. Then vanished. Elara laughed. Soft. Painful. You always sound calm, she said. I don't panic. Do you ever feel anything? Cade didn't answer. Because the truth wasn't something she needed to hear. He turned onto a side street. Then another. And another. No lights behind them now. Elara's head lolled to the side. Her eyes fluttered. Stay with me, Cade said sharply. Her eyes opened. Focused on him. Where are we going? She asked. Cade's hands tightened on the wheel. He should have taken her to a safe house. Called a doctor he trusted. Kept distance between them. But the safe houses were compromised. The doctor was out of the city. And Elara was bleeding too much to wait. So he made the choice that broke everything. He took her home. His home. The place no one ever saw. The place that kept him separate from the chaos. He pulled into the underground garage. Killed the engine. Sat in silence for 3 seconds. Then he got out. Walked around. Opened her door. Elara looked up at him. Confused. Where are we? Somewhere safe. He lifted her out of the seat. She was lighter than he expected. Or maybe adrenaline made her feel that way. Rain dripped from his coat as he carried her inside. Through the garage door. Up the stairs. Into the guest room. He laid her on the bed. Went to the bathroom. Grabbed supplies. When he came back, she was watching him. You brought me to your house, she said quietly. You needed help. You never bring anyone here. Cade didn't respond. He rolled up her sleeve. Blood soaked through the fabric. The bullet had grazed her. Deep enough to bleed. Not deep enough to kill. He cleaned the wound. She hissed through her teeth but didn't pull away. You could have left me, she whispered. I don't leave people to die. Even when they betray you. His hands paused. Just for half a second. He looked at her. Really looked at her. Her eyes were glassy. Scared. But something else sat behind them. Guilt. What did you say? He asked. She shook her head. Fast. Nothing. I'm just dizzy. The blood. Cade didn't believe her. But he kept working. Stitched the wound. Wrapped it. Finished the job. Hours passed. The rain softened. Then stopped. Elara's breathing slowed. Sleep pulled her under. Cade sat in a chair beside the bed. Watching. Thinking. He replayed the night in his mind. The call. The chase. The gunfire. She said she was careful. But someone had found her anyway. And when he asked if she betrayed him, she didn't say no. She said nothing. Cade leaned back. Stared at the ceiling. He should have known better. Should have kept his distance. Should have followed his own rule. But he didn't. And now she was here. In his home. Bleeding on his guest bed. He saved her when he should have walked away. Would you risk everything for someone who might betray you? Some choices define us. Drop a comment if this hit different. Exhaustion crept over him. Heavy. Relentless. He fought it. But his body had limits. Somewhere near dawn, his eyes closed. That was the mistake. When he woke hours later, everything had changed. Because Alara wasn't in the guest bed anymore. And his nephew's voice was echoing through the hallway. Cade didn't remember falling asleep. He never fell asleep around people. Never let his guard drop. Never gave anyone the chance to move without him knowing. But exhaustion doesn't ask permission. His eyes had closed in the chair. Just for a moment. Just to rest. When they opened again, everything felt wrong. The light was different. Brighter. Morning had come. And the bed was empty. Cade shot to his feet. His heart didn't race. It never did. But his mind sharpened instantly. The bathroom door was open. Empty. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. He moved fast. Silent. Checked every room. Kitchen. Empty. Living room. Empty. Then he heard it. Breathing. Soft. Steady. Close. He turned. His bedroom door was cracked open. Just slightly. Cade pushed it wider. And froze. Alara lay in his bed. On top of the covers. Eyes closed. Chest rising and falling slowly. She wore his shirt. The black one. The oversized one he never let anyone see. Her wounded arm rested across her stomach. The bandage still clean. Still white. She looked peaceful. Safe. Like she belonged there. Cade's throat tightened. This wasn't supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to be here. In this room. In his bed. Wearing his clothes. He took a step forward. Then stopped. Because her eyes opened. She looked at him. Blinked slowly. Then her face changed. Confusion. Then fear. Then panic. She sat up fast. Too fast. Winced as pain shot through her arm. She started. Cade raised a hand. Silence. Why are you in here? He asked quietly. Her voice came out shaky. I don't know. I woke up and I was cold. The guest room was cold. I must have. She looked down at herself. At the shirt. At the bed. Her face went pale. I didn't mean to, I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry. Cade didn't move. Didn't speak. Because something about this felt wrong. Off. Alara didn't sleepwalk. She didn't make mistakes like this. And he didn't just fall asleep. Not like that. Not deep enough to miss her moving. She swung her legs off the bed. Stood up. The shirt fell to mid-thigh. I'll leave, she said quickly. I'll go back to the guest room. I shouldn't have. Stop, Cade said. She froze. He stepped closer. His eyes scanned her face. Looking for something. Anything. What do you remember? he asked. About what? Last night. After I stitched you up. She blinked. Thought for a moment. I fell asleep. In the guest bed. You were sitting in the chair. And then I woke up here. Cade's jaw tightened. You don't remember moving? No. You don't remember changing? Her eyes dropped to the shirt again. She shook her head. No. I don't. Silence fell between them. Heavy. Tense. Cade turned away. Ran a hand through his hair. This didn't make sense. People didn't just move rooms without knowing. Didn't change clothes in their sleep. Unless. His stomach dropped. Unless someone helped them. He spun back around. Did anyone else come in last night? He asked sharply. Ilara's eyes went wide. What? No. There's no one else here. Right? Cade didn't answer. Because he didn't know anymore. He walked to the window. Pulled back the curtain. Scanned the street below. Nothing. No cars. No movement. But that didn't mean anything. He turned back to Ilara. She stood in the middle of his room. Arms wrapped around herself. Looking small. Vulnerable. Get dressed, he said. We need to figure this out. She nodded. Started toward the door. Then stopped. Cade. He looked at her. Why did you really bring me here? She asked quietly. You were bleeding. You could have taken me anywhere. But you brought me here. To your home. Why? Cade stared at her. Because the truth was complicated. Messy. Dangerous. He brought her here because the safe houses were compromised. Because he didn't trust anyone else. Because in that moment, with her bleeding in his car, the only place that felt safe enough was the one place no one knew about. But he couldn't say that. So he said nothing. Ilara's eyes searched his face. Looking for something she wouldn't find. Then she nodded. Like she understood anyway. She turned to leave. That's when they heard it. Footsteps. Light. Quick. Moving down the hallway. A child's footsteps. Cade's blood went cold. Ilara spun around. Her face drained of color. What? She started. Cade moved fast. Crossed the room. Grabbed her arm. Pulled her back from the door. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. Stay quiet. Who is that? She whispered back. Before he could answer, a voice called out. Young. Innocent. Familiar. Uncle Cade. Are you awake? Ilara's breath caught. Cade's mind raced. His nephew. Here. Now. But that was impossible. His nephew lived with his sister across town. He never came here. Never even knew where here was. The footsteps got closer. Cade looked at Ilara. Her eyes were wide. Terrified. He put a finger to his lips. Then he moved to the door. Locked it. Slow. Silent. The footsteps stopped right outside. Uncle Cade. Cade closed his eyes. Took a breath. Then he spoke. Voice calm. Controlled. Yeah. I'm here. Give me a minute. Okay. But I'm gonna be late for school. School. The word hit him like a punch. Why would his nephew be going to school from his apartment? None of this made sense. He turned back to Ilara. Her hand covered her mouth. Like she was holding back a scream. Who is that? She whispered again. Cade's voice came out flat. Empty. My nephew. Why is he here? I don't know. And that was the truth. He didn't know how his nephew got here. Didn't know why he was talking about school. Didn't know what happened in the hours he lost to sleep. The footsteps moved away. Toward the kitchen. Cade and Alara stood frozen in his bedroom. Staring at each other. Two people who shouldn't be here. In a situation that shouldn't exist. We need to leave, Alara said quietly. We can't. Why not? Because if he sees you, he'll tell my sister. And if my sister finds out you were here. He didn't finish. Because Alara already understood. If his sister found out he broke his rule, if she found out he brought someone home, she'd ask questions. Questions that would lead to answers neither of them could afford. Alara sank down onto the edge of the bed. Put her head in her hands. This is wrong, she whispered. All of this is wrong. Cade didn't argue. Because she was right. Something had shifted. Something neither of them could see yet. And the pieces didn't fit. His nephew here. Alara in his bed. Hours they couldn't remember. He walked to the nightstand. Opened the drawer. That's when he saw it. Alara's phone. Sitting inside. Screen dark. He picked it up. Turned it over. Why is your phone in my drawer? He asked. Alara looked up. Her face went even paler. I don't know. I didn't put it there. Cade pressed the power button. The screen lit up. 23 missed calls. All from the same number. Unknown. And one text message. Time stamped at 3 in the morning. Cade opened it. 5 words. He doesn't remember. Do you? His stomach dropped. Alara stood up. Walked over. Read the message. Her hands started shaking. Cade, what does that mean? He stared at the screen. Someone knew they were here. Someone knew what happened. And whoever it was wanted them to know they were watching. I don't know, he said quietly. But deep down, he did. Someone had taken something from them. Time. Memory. Truth. And now they were playing a game neither of them understood. The child left 30 minutes later. Cade stood by the window. Watched his nephew walk down the street. Backpack bouncing. Headphones in. Normal. Like this was routine. Like he did this every day. But he didn't. He couldn't. Because Cade's nephew didn't live here. Didn't know this address. Didn't have a key. Yet somehow, this morning, he'd been here. In the hallway. Talking about being late for school. Cade's jaw tightened. He turned away from the window. Alara sat at the kitchen table. Hands wrapped around a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. Steam rose between her fingers. She stared at it like it held answers. The apartment was quiet now. Too quiet. Cade walked over. Pulled out a chair. Sat down across from her. She didn't look up. Talk, he said. Her hands tightened around the cup. About what? Everything. Start from the beginning. She shook her head slowly. There's nothing to. Don't, Cade cut her off. His voice stayed calm. Controlled. But there was steel underneath. Don't lie to me. Not now. Alara finally looked up. Her eyes were red. Tired. I didn't lie, she whispered. You didn't tell me everything either. Silence. She looked back down at the coffee. Her lips trembled. I was trying to protect you, she said quietly. From what? From this. Cade leaned back. Crossed his arms. Explain. Elara took a shaky breath. Then another. I wasn't followed because of the accounts, she said. Cade's expression didn't change. But something shifted behind his eyes. Then why? He asked. They already knew about the accounts. Had known for weeks. They let me keep working because they were waiting for something else. What? She met his eyes. You. The word hung in the air. Cade didn't move. Didn't blink. They wanted me to get close to you, Elara continued. Her voice cracked. To find proof you'd break your own rules. Proof you weren't as untouchable as everyone thought. And you agreed? Tears spilled down her cheeks. They had my sister. Said they'd kill her if I didn't cooperate. Cade's hands tightened into fists under the table. So you gave them a name, he said. Yes. But not yours. I gave them someone else. Someone I thought would buy me time. Who? Marcus Vega. Cade's jaw clenched. Marcus was dead. Had been for 2 years. They didn't buy it, Elara whispered. They knew I was lying. So they changed the deal. To what? They said if I couldn't give them your name, I had to give them proof. Evidence you'd let someone in. That you'd break protocol. She looked at him. Eyes begging for understanding. They wanted to know where you lived. Who you trusted. What would make you vulnerable? Cade's voice came out flat. So you let yourself get shot? No. That part was real. They turned on me when I refused. I ran. They chased. You saved me. And then? Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. And then you brought me here. The truth settled between them like ice. You used me, Cade said quietly. No. She stopped. Swallowed hard. Maybe. I don't know anymore. She cried because she knew what was coming. Ever kept a secret that could destroy someone? Share this if you've carried that weight. I tried to stop it, Elara continued through tears. After you saved me, I wanted to tell you everything. But I was scared. Scared you'd kill me. Scared they'd kill my sister. Scared I'd already ruined everything. You did. She flinched like he'd hit her. Cade stood up. Walked to the window. Stared out at the street. Your presence in my house is evidence, he said. Not a question. A statement. Yes. They have proof now. Photos. Recordings. Something. Elara nodded even though he couldn't see her. Probably. Cade turned around. And your sister? They let her go. Yesterday. Before the chase. His eyes narrowed. So you had no reason to keep lying. I had every reason, she shot back. Voice rising. Because if I told you the truth, you'd throw me out. And then they'd find me. And I'd be dead. So you chose yourself over me. I chose survival. Same thing. Elara stood up. Chair scraped against the floor. I tried to fix it, she said. Her voice broke. I stayed because I thought maybe I could warn you. Help you. Do something that mattered. You stayed because you had nowhere else to go. She didn't argue. Because he was right. Cade walked back to the table. Stopped inches from her. Who are they? He asked. I don't know names. Just orders. Instructions. Threats. Describe them. I can't. We never met. Everything was phone calls. Messages. Dead drops. Cade's mind raced. Anonymous players. No faces. No names. Professional. Organized. Dangerous. What do they want? He asked. I told you. Proof you're human. Proof you make mistakes. Why? Ilara shook her head. I don't know. Maybe to sell to your enemies. Maybe to use themselves. Maybe just to prove they can. Cade stepped back. Ran a hand over his face. This was worse than he thought. Because if someone had proof he broke his rules, proof he brought work home, they had leverage. Power. And power was the only thing that mattered in his world. He should end this. Right now. Send Ilara away. Burn the evidence. Disappear. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the tears on her face. Maybe it was the wound on her arm. Maybe it was the fact that she stayed when she could have run. Or maybe it was something deeper. Something he didn't want to name. Get dressed, he said quietly. She looked up. Confused. What? You're leaving. I'm giving you money. Protection. A new name if you need it. Cade. This is mercy, Ilara. Don't make me regret it. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Nodded. Because she knew. This was the best she'd get. She walked past him. Stopped in the doorway. I'm sorry, she whispered. For all of it. Cade didn't turn around. I know. She left the room. Cade stood alone in the kitchen. Staring at the untouched coffee. He'd just made his second fatal mistake. Because mercy was weakness. And weakness got people killed. But he couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. Not on her. Not yet. He picked up the cup. Poured the coffee down the sink. The text message flashed through his mind. He doesn't remember. Do you? Someone was watching. Someone knew what happened. And Ilara wasn't telling him everything. He could feel it. The truth was still buried. And whatever came next would be worse than anything he'd faced before. Because the moment he chose mercy over caution, he'd already lost. He just didn't know it yet. Cade sent Ilara away that afternoon. Cash in a black duffel bag. Enough to disappear for months. New phone. Burner. Untraceable. He gave her a contact. Someone who could move her if things got worse. She stood in the doorway. Eyes red. Face pale. Thank you, she whispered. Cade didn't respond. She left without looking back. He watched from the window as a car pulled up. She got in. It drove away. Gone. He told himself it was over. Told himself he'd contained it. Fixed it. Moved on. He cleaned the apartment. Stripped the guest bed. Washed the sheets. Erased every trace of her presence. The shirt she'd worn went into the trash. Then he pulled it back out. Folded it. Put it in the back of his closet. He didn't know why. 2 days passed. Quiet days. Normal days. Cade went back to work. Moved money. Made calls. Fixed problems. Everything felt routine. Until his phone rang. Unknown number. But the area code was local. He answered. Yeah. The voice on the other end was shaking. One of his men. Torres. Reliable. Steady. Never panicked. But he was panicking now. Boss. Torres stopped. Took a breath. I don't know how to say this. Cade's chest tightened. Say it. It's your nephew. The world stopped. Cade's hand gripped the phone tighter. What about him? His voice came out calm. Too calm. Torres was quiet for too long. Torres. What? About. Him. They came to the house. Your sister's house. Last night. Cade stood up. Heart pounding now. Is he hurt? Silence. Torres. Boss, I'm so sorry. Those 4 words destroyed him. Cade's legs went weak. He sat back down. Slowly. What happened? He asked quietly. Torres's voice cracked. They broke in around midnight. Your sister fought back. They shot her. She's alive. In the hospital. But the boy. He stopped. Cade closed his eyes. Say it. He didn't make it. I'm sorry, boss. He didn't make it. The phone slipped from Cade's hand. It hit the floor. Torres's voice kept talking. Muffled. Distant. Cade sat perfectly still. No screaming. No crying. No movement. Just emptiness. The kind that swallows everything. He stared at the wall. At nothing. His nephew's face flashed through his mind. Bright eyes. Wide smile. Backpack bouncing as he walked to school. Uncle Cade, are you awake? That voice. That innocent voice. Gone. Cade's hands started shaking. He pressed them flat against his knees. Forced them still. Breathe. Just breathe. But breathing hurt. Everything hurt. He picked up the phone. Put it back to his ear. Torres was still talking. Explaining. Apologizing. Stop, Cade said quietly. Torres went silent. Who did it? Cade asked. We don't know yet. They wore masks. No cameras caught faces. But boss. What? They left a message. Cade's jaw tightened. What message? They spray-painted it on the wall. Said, Torres hesitated. Said this is what happens when you break the rules. The phone went silent. Cade's mind raced backward. 2 nights ago. Elara bleeding in his car. Bringing her home. The rule he broke. Never bring work home. And now his nephew was dead. Boss? You still there? Yeah. What do you want us to do? Cade's voice came out flat. Empty. Nothing. I'll handle it. Boss. I said I'll handle it. He hung up. The phone dropped from his hand again. He sat in the dark. Alone. Hours passed. Maybe minutes. Time didn't matter anymore. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He just sat there, broken. If you've ever lost someone and couldn't say goodbye, this one's for you. Don't let this story fade. The apartment was silent. The same silence that woke him 2 days ago. The wrong kind. Cade stood up. Walked to his nephew's room. The one he kept for visits. For weekends. For moments that would never happen again. Toys lined the shelves. Books stacked neatly. Bed made perfectly. He picked up a small jacket. Blue. Size 6. Pressed it to his face. It still smelled like him. Like soap and grass and childhood. Cade's chest tightened. His knees buckled. He sank to the floor. Back against the wall. Jacket clutched in his hands. And for the first time in 20 years, Cade Rios cried. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just silent tears that wouldn't stop. Because the rule he broke had finally collected its price. And it wasn't his life. It was something worse. Someone innocent. Someone who didn't choose this world. Someone who just wanted to go to school and come home safe. Gone. Because of him. The phone buzzed. Cade ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Finally, he picked it up. A text message. Unknown number. He opened it. You should have listened. Another message came through. She knew. She always knew. Cade stared at the screen. Ilara. His hands tightened around the phone. She knew. She knew they'd come for him. Knew they'd hit where it hurt most. And she'd stayed quiet. Another message. Check your email. You'll understand. Cade opened his laptop. Found the email. Attached was a video file. He clicked it. The screen loaded. Footage from a security camera. Grainy. Dark. His sister's house. Two figures approached the door. Masked. Armed. They broke in. Cade's stomach twisted. He couldn't watch. But he couldn't look away. The camera angle shifted. Inside now. His sister appeared. Fighting. Screaming. Then his nephew. Running from his room. Eyes wide with fear. Cade's hand covered his mouth. The men grabbed the boy. His sister lunged forward. A gunshot. She fell. The boy screamed. Another shot. Silence. The video ended. Cade sat frozen. Then he played it again. And again. Looking for something. Anything. A detail. A clue. A reason. On the fourth viewing, he saw it. One of the men turned toward the camera. Just for a second. The mask shifted. A tattoo on his neck. Small. Distinctive. Cade recognized it. Not from his world. From Ilara's. She'd shown him photos once. Years ago. When she first started working for him. Her sister's boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. Someone dangerous she'd been trying to escape. The same tattoo. Cade's blood ran cold. This wasn't random. This wasn't about breaking rules. This was personal. Ilara didn't just know it was coming. She'd sent them. His hands started shaking again. But not from grief. From rage. Pure. Cold. Unstoppable rage. She'd used him as bait. Used his nephew as collateral. Used his mercy as a weapon. And he'd let her walk away. Given her money. Protection. A chance. She'd taken it all. And left him with nothing but a dead child and a lie. Cade stood up. Wiped his face. Put the jacket back on the bed. Walked to his closet. Pulled out the black shirt she'd worn. Stared at it. Then he threw it in the fireplace. Lit a match. Watched it burn. The flames climbed higher. Cade's phone buzzed one more time. Another message. I'm sorry. I had no choice. He deleted it. Because sorry didn't matter. Choice didn't matter. Nothing mattered except one thing. Finding her. And making her understand exactly what she'd taken from him. The fire crackled. The shirt turned to ash. And Cade Rios made a promise. To his nephew. To himself. This wasn't over. Not even close. 3 weeks passed. No calls. No messages. No trace. Ilara Cruz had vanished completely. Cade shut down everything that mattered. Safe houses burned. Routes changed. Men disappeared into new cities with new names. He dismantled his empire piece by piece. Not because he was afraid. Because he didn't care anymore. The work that once defined him felt hollow. Empty. Pointless. His sister recovered in the hospital. Bullet removed. Body healing. But her eyes stayed empty. She didn't speak. Didn't cry. Just stared at the ceiling. Cade visited once. Sat beside her bed. Held her hand. She pulled it away. He didn't try again. The funeral was small. Private. Cade stood at the back. Didn't approach the casket. Didn't say goodbye. Because how do you say goodbye to someone whose death you caused? He left before it ended. Went home. Sat in the dark. Waited for something. Anything. Revenge. Closure. Death. Nothing came. Until the package arrived. No return address. Just his name written in careful handwriting. He recognized it immediately. Ilara's. Cade stared at the box for a long time before opening it. Inside was a flash drive and a folded piece of paper. His hands didn't shake as he unfolded the letter. But something in his chest did. The words were written in pen. Neat. Deliberate. Cade. I knew they would come for him. He stopped breathing. I knew the moment I stepped into your car. The moment you brought me to your home. The moment you chose mercy. They told me what would happen if I didn't deliver. If I didn't give them proof you could break. So I gave it to them. And I hated myself for it. Cade's grip tightened on the paper. But here's what they didn't know. I wasn't just giving them you. I was giving them everything. His eyes moved faster down the page. The flash drive has it all. Every account. Every name. Every location. Yours. Theirs. Everyone who ever played this game. I leaked it to the feds. To rivals. To people who'll burn it all down. Cade's stomach dropped. I knew your nephew would die. I tried to stop it. Tried to warn your sister without breaking cover. But they were watching. Always watching. When I realized I couldn't save him, I made a choice. I decided his death would be the last one. Cade set the letter down. Plugged in the flash drive. Files opened instantly. Folders. Hundreds of them. Bank accounts. Wire transfers. Shell companies. Names he recognized. Names he didn't. His entire network. Exposed. But not just his. Every enemy. Every ally. Every player in the city. She hadn't just betrayed him. She'd burned everything to the ground. He scrolled deeper. Found a folder labeled Insurance. Opened it. Photos. Recordings. Emails. Evidence of crimes going back decades. Murders. Extortion. Trafficking. All organized. All dated. All ready to destroy lives. And at the bottom of the folder, one file. Her name. He clicked it. A video started playing. Ilara sat in a dim room. Face pale. Eyes tired. She looked directly at the camera. If you're watching this, I'm already gone, she said quietly. And you're trying to decide if I deserve to live. Cade's jaw clenched. I don't blame you, she continued. I wouldn't forgive me either. She looked down. Took a breath. I wanted to save him. Your nephew. I swear I did. But they were always 3 steps ahead. Every move I made, they countered. Every plan I tried, they crushed. Her voice cracked. So I stopped trying to save one person. and started trying to end it all. She looked back at the camera. The files on that drive will destroy everyone. Including you. Including me. I leaked them to people who'll actually do something. Agents. Journalists. Rival families. By the time you see this, arrests will have started. Accounts frozen. Empires falling. She wiped her eyes. I know you'll hate me for this. For choosing the greater good over the one life that mattered most. But I couldn't let his death mean nothing. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I tried to save him. When I couldn't, I made his death the last one. The video ended. Cade sat in silence. Staring at the frozen frame. At her face. He went back to the letter. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know the truth. I didn't betray you to save myself. I betrayed you to end this. All of it. If you ever forgive me, don't come looking. If you can't, I'll understand. I'm sorry for what I took from you. And I'm sorry I couldn't be the person you thought I was. But maybe this way, no one else loses a nephew. E. Cade folded the letter carefully. Set it down beside the keyboard. His phone buzzed. News alert. Major crime syndicate takedown, FBI raids across the city. Another alert. Dozens arrested in coordinated operation. Another. Leaked files expose decades of corruption. Cade turned off the phone. Stood up. Walked to the window. The city looked the same. But everything had changed. She'd done it. Burned it all down. His empire. Her life. Everyone's secrets. Gone. And his nephew was still dead. Cade's reflection stared back at him in the glass. He looked older. Tired. Broken. She wasn't bait. She wasn't a coward. She was someone who made an impossible choice. Save one innocent life and let thousands die. Or let one die and save thousands. She chose the latter. And it destroyed her just as much as it destroyed him. Cade turned away from the window. Looked at the letter again. If you can't forgive me, I'll understand. The question wasn't if he could forgive her. The question was if he wanted to. Because forgiveness meant accepting that she'd been right. That his nephew's death served a purpose. That the pain was worth something. And Cade wasn't ready to accept that. Might never be ready. He picked up the letter. Read it one more time. Then he folded it. Put it in his pocket. Grabbed his coat. And walked out the door. Because there was one thing he needed to know. Was she still alive? And if she was, did she regret it? Or was this always the plan? The streets were chaos. Police sirens. News vans. Reporters everywhere. Cade moved through it like a ghost. Invisible. Forgotten. Just another face in the crowd. He had one destination in mind. The last place they'd met. The rooftop where everything started. If she was still alive, she'd be there. Waiting. Because some conversations could only happen face to face. And this one would decide everything. Whether he'd let her live. Or whether her sacrifice would cost her everything she had left. By morning, the city was unraveling. Cade watched it happen from his living room window. Police cars flooded the streets. Lights flashing. Sirens screaming. News helicopters circled overhead. Every channel showed the same thing. Arrests. Raids. Chaos. Men Cade had worked with for years dragged out of houses in handcuffs. Faces he recognized blurred on screens. Names he knew scrolling across the bottom. Federal agents swarmed buildings he'd once controlled. Accountants. Lawyers. Enforcers. All falling like dominoes. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Old allies demanding answers. Begging for help. Screaming threats. New enemies offering deals. Protection. Partnerships. Cade ignored them all. Let the calls go to voicemail. Let the messages pile up. None of it mattered anymore. Because the empire he'd spent 15 years building was collapsing. Not from enemies. Not from mistakes. From one woman who decided to destroy it from the inside. Ilara. Her name echoed in his mind like a curse. She'd leaked everything. Every file. Every transaction. Every secret. And she'd done it knowing exactly what it would cost. Cade turned away from the window. The apartment felt empty. Cold. Everything he'd built his life around was gone. The work. The power. The control. All of it burning in real time. And the worst part? He couldn't even be angry. Because she'd been right. If she'd spoken sooner, maybe his nephew would be alive. But thousands more would have died. People caught in the machine. Ground up. Forgotten. She chose to end it. Chose to make his nephew's death mean something. And it was working. The news showed more arrests. More raids. Trafficking rings shut down. Drug operations destroyed. Money laundering exposed. Lives saved. Because one child died. Cade's chest tightened. No clean choice. Only consequences. He walked down the hallway. Stopped outside his nephew's room. The door was still closed. He hadn't opened it since the funeral. Couldn't. But now he pushed it open. The room looked exactly the same. Toys on the shelves. Books stacked neatly. Bed made with care. A stuffed bear sat against the pillow. Cade picked it up. Held it. Soft. Worn. Loved. His nephew had carried this everywhere when he was younger. Uncle Cade, can bear come too? That voice. Gone forever. Cade sat on the edge of the bed. Bear in his hands. The weight of everything crashed down. His empire was falling. His sister wouldn't speak to him. His nephew was dead. And Ilara. He closed his eyes. He missed her. Hated himself for it. But it was true. Missed her voice. Her presence. The way she looked at him like he was more than just the work. She destroyed everything. And part of him still wanted her alive. He lost everything, but still chose to find her. Ever loved someone you should hate? Drop a comment if this broke you. His phone buzzed again. Cade looked at the screen. Torres. He answered. What? Boss, you need to disappear. Now. They're coming for you next. Let them come. Boss. I'm done, Torres. Done running. Done hiding. Done with all of it. Silence on the other end. What are you gonna do? Torres asked quietly. Cade looked at the bear in his hands. Something I should have done 3 weeks ago. What's that? Find her. Torres hesitated. You sure that's smart? No. Then why? Cade's jaw tightened. Because I need to know. Know what? If she regrets it. Another pause. And if she doesn't? Torres asked. Cade didn't answer. Because he didn't know yet. Didn't know if he'd walk away or pull the trigger. Didn't know if forgiveness was possible or if revenge was all he had left. Be safe, boss, Torres said quietly. Then he hung up. Cade set the bear back on the pillow. Stood up. Walked to his bedroom. Opened the closet. Pulled out a black duffel bag. Cash. Documents. Weapon. Everything he needed to disappear. He packed quickly. Efficiently. Years of practice made it automatic. But this time felt different. This wasn't running from enemies. This was running toward answers. Toward her. Toward the one person who could explain why his nephew had to die. Why his empire had to fall. Why everything he'd built had to burn. He zipped the bag. Looked around the apartment one last time. This place had been his sanctuary. His secret. His escape from the chaos. Now it was just walls and memories. Nothing worth keeping. He walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back. Grabbed the letter from his desk. Ilara's letter. Folded it carefully. Put it in his jacket pocket. Right over his heart. Then he left. Locked the door behind him. Took the stairs instead of the elevator. Came out in the underground garage. His car sat in the corner. Covered. Hidden. He pulled off the tarp. Black sedan. Clean. Untraceable. Got in. Started the engine. The city was chaos above him. But down here, it was quiet. Cade pulled out of the garage. Merged into traffic. Past police cars and news vans. No one looked twice at him. Just another face. Another car. Another ghost. He drove for hours. Out of the city. Into the countryside. Hills rolled past. Trees lined the road. The sky turned from gray to blue. Cade's mind stayed focused. One destination. The rooftop. The place where this all started. If Ilara was still alive, she'd be there. Waiting. Because she knew him. Knew he'd come. Knew he'd need answers. The sun began to set as he approached the city limits. Orange light painted the horizon. Cade checked his rearview mirror. No one following. No one watching. Just him and the road. He thought about turning back. Thought about letting it go. Letting her disappear. Letting the past stay buried. But he couldn't. Because some questions don't fade. Some pain doesn't heal. Some choices demand answers. His nephew deserved that much. Cade deserved that much. And Ilara. Whether she deserved anything was the question he needed answered. Face to face. No more letters. No more videos. No more distance. Just truth. Raw. Unfiltered. Final. The city appeared on the horizon. Smaller now. Quieter. The chaos had settled into something new. Something different. Cade drove through familiar streets. Past places he used to control. All of it belonged to someone else now. Or no one at all. He didn't care. Power meant nothing anymore. Only answers mattered. He parked 3 blocks from the building. Grabbed the duffel bag. Walked the rest of the way. The building was abandoned. Had been for years. Perfect for meetings no one should witness. Cade climbed the stairs. 20 floors. No elevator. His breathing stayed steady. Controlled. At the top, he pushed open the rooftop door. Wind hit his face. The city spread out below. Lights flickering. Life continuing. And there, at the edge of the rooftop, stood a figure. Small. Still. Waiting. Cade's heart didn't race. But something shifted in his chest. He walked forward. Step by step. The figure didn't turn. Didn't run. Just stood there. Watching the city burn. Cade stopped 10 feet away. "I knew you'd come," she said quietly. Her voice. The one he'd missed. The one he'd hated. Elara turned around. Thinner. Paler. Eyes hollow. But still standing. Still alive. Cade stared at her. All the words he'd planned disappeared. All the anger. All the grief. It all just sat there. Heavy. Unspoken. "You came to kill me," she said. Not a question. Cade's hand rested near his jacket. Near the weapon. "I came for answers," he replied. "And if you don't like them?" He didn't respond. Elara nodded slowly. "Fair enough." The wind picked up. The city lights flickered below. And two people who destroyed each other stood face to face. Waiting for whatever came next. The silence between them stretched. Heavy. Suffocating. Cade broke it first. "You let him die." Not a question. A statement. Elara didn't flinch. Didn't look away. Yes. One word. No defense. No excuse. Just truth. Cade's hands clenched into fists. "Say it again," he said quietly. "I let him die." Her voice was steady. Clear. Like she'd practiced this moment 1,000 times. Cade took a step closer. "You knew they were coming for him." "Yes." "You could have warned me." "No. I couldn't." "Why not?" Elara's eyes stayed locked on his. "Because the moment I warned you, they would have known I turned. And they would have disappeared. Changed plans. Gone after someone else. So you chose him." "I chose to end it," she said firmly. "I chose to make sure no one else would have to bury a child because of this world." Cade's jaw tightened. "You made that choice for me." "Someone had to." The words hit like a slap. Cade stepped even closer. "Now just feet apart." "You used me," he said. Voice low. Controlled. Dangerous. Elara shook her head. "No. I trusted you." "Trusted me?" "Yes. Trusted you'd survive. Trusted you'd understand eventually. Trusted you'd see what I was trying to do." Cade's voice rose. "You trusted me while my nephew died. While my sister lost her son. While I sat in that house wondering what I did wrong." Elara's composure cracked. "Just slightly. I know what it cost you. You know nothing. I know everything." Her voice broke. "I know you held him when he was born. I know you taught him to ride a bike. I know he called you every Sunday just to talk about nothing." Cade froze. "I know," she continued, tears filling her eyes, "because I watched you. 4 months. Learning who you were. What mattered to you. Where you'd break." She took a shaky breath. "And I hated myself every single day for it. Not enough to stop." "No," she admitted. "Not enough to stop." The wind howled around them. Cade's hand moved toward his jacket. Toward the weapon. Elara saw it. Didn't move. "You destroyed my world," he said quietly. She met his eyes. "So did you." The words stopped him cold. "What? You think you're the only one who lost something?" Her voice shook. "My sister's dead. Killed the day after your nephew. Retaliation for what I did." Cade's breath caught. "They found her in her apartment. Made it look like suicide. But I know the truth." Tears streamed down her face now. "I traded her life for thousands. Just like I traded his. Just like I traded yours. I'm still alive. Are you? She looked at him. Really looked at him. Because the Cade Rios I knew died 3 weeks ago. The man standing in front of me is just what's left. Cade's hand hovered near the weapon. Maybe that's all I need to be. Maybe, Elara said softly. Or maybe you're still trying to decide if killing me will make it hurt less. Will it? No. She stepped closer. Now inches apart. Killing me won't bring him back, she whispered. Won't undo what happened. Won't make the pain stop. Then what will? Nothing. That's the truth. Nothing will. Cade's hand trembled. Then why are you still alive? He asked. Because I'm a coward, she said simply. I couldn't finish what I started. Couldn't pull my own trigger. Couldn't end it. She looked out at the city. I burned everything down and then stood in the ashes waiting for someone to finish the job. Why me? Because you're the only one who has the right. Cade pulled the weapon. Held it at his side. Elara's eyes dropped to it. Then back to his face. If you pull the trigger, she said quietly, I won't run. Won't beg. Won't fight. I know. So do it. Cade raised the weapon. Aimed it at her chest. His hand was steady. Finger on the trigger. Elara stood perfectly still. Waiting. Do it, she whispered again. Cade's finger tightened. One squeeze. 1 second. One choice. And it would be over. All the pain. All the anger. All the grief. Gone. But his nephew would still be dead. His sister would still be broken. His empire would still be ashes. And Elara. She'd be just another body. Another regret. Another piece of himself he'd have to bury. Cade's hand started shaking. Not from fear. From exhaustion. From the weight of everything. He lowered the weapon. Elara's eyes widened slightly. Why? She asked. Because you're right, Cade said quietly. Killing you won't bring him back. He took a step back. It'll just make the loss meaningless. Elara's legs buckled. She caught herself against the railing. I don't deserve mercy, she whispered. I know. Then why give it? Cade looked at her. Really looked at her. Broken. Hollow. Surviving but not living. Just like him. Because I'm tired, he said. Tired of the violence. Tired of the revenge. Tired of losing people. He tucked the weapon back into his jacket. You wanted to end the cycle. So end it. I don't understand. Live, he said. Live with what you did. Live with the weight. Live knowing you traded innocent lives for a chance at something better. He turned to walk away. That's your punishment. Elara's voice stopped him. Do you hate me? Cade paused. Didn't turn around. Yes. Will you ever forgive me? Silence. Then, quietly. I don't know. He walked toward the door. Stopped one more time. But I understand why you did it. Elara's breath hitched. Does that make it easier? She asked. No. It makes it harder. He pulled open the door. Because now I can't hate you completely. Can't justify the anger. Can't pretend you were just a monster. He looked back at her one last time. You were just someone trying to save the world. And it cost us both everything. Then he left. Door closing behind him. Footsteps echoing down the stairwell. Elara stood alone on the rooftop. Wind whipping her hair. Tears streaming down her face. She sank to her knees, pressed her hands to the concrete. And finally, after weeks of numbness, she let herself feel it. All of it. The grief. The guilt. The weight of every choice. She'd burned the world down to save it. And the only person who could have understood had just walked away. Not with forgiveness. Not with revenge. With something harder. Understanding. And that hurt more than any bullet ever could. Below, Cade reached the street. Climbed into his car. Sat in silence. His hands gripped the steering wheel. He'd had the shot. The chance. The moment. And he'd walked away. Not because he was weak. But because he finally understood something. Violence wouldn't heal this. Revenge wouldn't fix this. Nothing would. Some wounds don't close. Some losses don't end. Some pain just becomes part of who you are. He started the engine. Pulled onto the empty street. Drove into the night. Leaving the city behind. Leaving Alara behind. Leaving everything behind. Because sometimes walking away is the only power you have left. And Cade was done fighting battles that couldn't be won. The rooftop stood empty now. Just wind and shadows. Two broken people had met there. And both had walked away alive. But neither had won. Because some confrontations don't have winners. Only survivors. Cade walked away from the rooftop. Didn't look back. Didn't hesitate. Just drove into the night and kept driving. He didn't stop until morning. Found a small motel 3 states away. Paid cash. Used a fake name. Slept for 12 hours straight. When he woke, the world felt different. Quieter. Like something had shifted inside him. He checked his phone. No messages. No calls. Torres had gone dark. Smart. The news showed the aftermath. Trials beginning. Sentences handed down. The empire was gone. Really gone. Cade turned off the phone. Stayed in that motel for 3 days. Then moved to another. And another. Drifting. Existing. Not living. Just waiting for something to feel right again. It never did. After 2 weeks, he came back. Not to the city. To a small town on its edge. Rented a quiet apartment. 2nd floor. Corner unit. No neighbors who asked questions. No noise. No chaos. Just silence. The kind he used to crave. Now it felt empty. The city rebuilt itself without him. New faces took over old territories. New names appeared in the news. The cycle continued. Just without Cade. He was a ghost now. Forgotten. Erased. And that should have felt like freedom. Instead, it felt like loss. Weeks passed. Cade established a routine. Coffee in the morning. Walk in the afternoon. Reading at night. Normal things. Quiet things. Things that used to bore him. Now they were all he had. He thought about Alara sometimes. Wondered if she was still alive. Still surviving. Still carrying the weight. He didn't search for her. Didn't try to find out. Because some doors stay closed for a reason. Then one evening, he came home to find something on his doorstep. A package. Small. Wrapped in brown paper. No return address. Just his name. Cade's heart didn't race. But it tightened. He knew that handwriting. He carried the package inside. Set it on the table. Stared at it for 10 minutes before opening it. Inside was fabric. Black. Soft. Familiar. His shirt. The one she'd worn that night. The one he'd thrown in the fireplace. But this wasn't burnt. This was clean. Folded perfectly. A different shirt. Same style. She'd replaced it. Cade lifted it out. Held it up. No note. No explanation. Just the shirt. He pressed it to his face. It smelled like detergent. Nothing else. No trace of her. She was returning what never belonged to her. Cade set it down on the table. Stared at it. She was still out there. Still alive. Still thinking about him. And that hurt more than anger ever could. He walked to his closet. Pulled out a metal box from the top shelf. Inside were his last ledgers. The ones he'd kept. The ones that still tied him to the past. Names. Numbers. Secrets. Everything he used to protect. Cade carried the box to the kitchen. Opened it. Pulled out each page. One by one. And fed them into the sink. Struck a match. Watched them burn. The flames climbed higher. Paper turned to ash. Years of work. Years of power. Gone in minutes. The smoke alarm went off. Cade didn't move. Just watched. When the last page turned to ash, he ran water over it. The past went with it. Down the drain. Into nothing. He stood there for a long time. Hands gripping the counter. Head bowed. Finally understanding something he'd missed. Forgiveness isn't a feeling. It's a choice. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel okay about what someone did. You choose to let it shape you differently. You choose what comes next. Forgiveness doesn't erase pain, it just decides what comes next. If you've ever chosen to forgive the unforgivable, this story needs to be shared. Cade picked up the shirt from the table. Walked to his bedroom. Opened a drawer. The empty one he never used. He folded the shirt carefully. Placed it inside. Closed the drawer. Not as comfort. As memory. A reminder of what happened. What was lost. What was gained. Because loving someone doesn't mean forgetting what they did. It means accepting the cost. All of it. The good. The bad. The unbearable. Cade sat on the edge of his bed. Stared at the closed drawer. He didn't forgive her. Not completely. Maybe he never would. But he chose to stop hating her. Chose to understand her. Chose to let the anger become something else. Not peace. Not acceptance. Just less. Less sharp. Less consuming. Less destructive. And that was enough. For now. That night, he slept better than he had in weeks. No nightmares. No waking in cold sweats. Just sleep. Deep. Quiet. Empty. When morning came, Cade made coffee. Sat by the window. Watched the world move. People walking. Cars passing. Life continuing. All of it happening without him. And for the first time, that felt okay. He wasn't invisible anymore. He was just free. Free from the empire. Free from the violence. Free from the weight of being untouchable. Free to be nobody. And nobody was easier than somebody ever was. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Cade stared at it. Thought about ignoring it. Then answered. Yeah. Silence on the other end. Just breathing. Soft. Familiar. I'm still alive, Elara's voice whispered. Cade closed his eyes. I know. I didn't think you'd answer. Neither did I. More silence. Then. Did you get the shirt? Yes. I'm sorry. For everything. Cade's grip tightened on the phone. I know. Do you? She stopped. Started again. Do you hate me? Cade thought about lying. About saying yes. About ending this. But he chose truth instead. Not anymore. Her breath caught. Why not? Because hate takes energy. And I don't have any left. Elara was quiet for a long moment. What do you have left? She asked softly. Cade looked out the window. At the ordinary world. At the life he never thought he'd want. Tomorrow, he said simply. I have tomorrow. Is that enough? It has to be. Another pause. Will I see you again? She asked. Cade's chest tightened. I don't know. But maybe. He thought about it. Really thought about it. About whether two broken people could exist in the same space without destroying each other again. Maybe, he said finally. Elara exhaled slowly. Thank you. For letting me live. Thank you for the shirt. A small sound. Almost a laugh. Almost a sob. Goodbye, Cade. Goodbye, Elara. The line went dead. Cade set the phone down. Stared at it for a moment. Then he stood up. Made breakfast. Ordinary breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Coffee. Sat at the table. Ate slowly. Tasted everything. Living. Not surviving. There's a difference. And Cade was finally learning what it was. The drawer with the shirt stayed closed. He didn't open it that day. Or the next. Or the week after. But knowing it was there helped. A reminder that some things don't need to be forgotten. They just need to be put away. Where they can't hurt anymore. Where they're just part of the story. Not the whole thing. Just a chapter. A painful one. But one that ended. So something else could begin. Years passed. Not quickly. Not slowly. Just, passed. Cade never went back to the city. Never rebuilt what he lost. Never tried to reclaim the power. He lived quietly. Simply. Different towns. Different names. Different versions of normal. He worked odd jobs. Fixed things. Helped people who didn't know his past. And slowly, the weight got lighter. Not gone. Never gone. Just lighter. Elara stayed gone for the first year. No calls. No messages. No sign. Cade wondered sometimes if she was alive. Then one day, she appeared. At a coffee shop in a town neither of them had history in. She sat across from him. Didn't explain how she found him. They talked for 20 minutes. About nothing important. Weather. Books. Small things. Then she left. It happened again 6 months later. Different town. Different coffee shop. Same quiet conversation. They never talked about the past. Never mentioned his nephew. Never revisited that night. They just existed in the same space for brief moments. Then went back to their separate lives. It became a pattern. Twice a year. Maybe 3 times. Random meetings. Random towns. No commitment. No promises. Just 2 people who shared scars checking if the other was still standing. The city forgot Cade's name. That was the victory. New criminals rose. New empires built. New cycles began. But none of them knew about the ghost who once ruled everything. Cade read about it sometimes. Saw familiar patterns. Familiar mistakes. But he didn't intervene. Didn't help. Didn't warn. That world wasn't his anymore. 3 years after the rooftop, Cade found himself in a small park. Afternoon sun. Gentle breeze. Sounds of life everywhere. Children played on swings. Laughed. Chased each other. Parents watched. Smiled. Lived. Cade sat on a bench. Coffee in hand. Watching it all unfold. A small boy ran past. Maybe 6. Maybe 7. Dark hair. Bright eyes. Endless energy. Cade's chest tightened. But not with pain. With something else. Gratitude maybe. Or acceptance. That somewhere, a child was playing who might not have been. Because Elara made an impossible choice. A shadow fell across the bench. Cade looked up. Elara stood there. Thinner than before. Gray streaks in her hair now. But her eyes were clearer. Calmer. Mind if I sit? She asked. Cade gestured to the empty space. She sat. Not too close. Not too far. They watched the children play in silence. Minutes passed. Then Elara spoke quietly. Do you hate me? Cade didn't look at her. Kept his eyes on the park. No. Do you forgive me? He thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know if that's the right question. What is? Can I live with what happened? Can you? Most days. Elara nodded slowly. That's more than I deserve. Cade finally looked at her. I don't hate you, he said. I hate what we became. What the world made us. What we had to do to survive it. She met his eyes. Me too. That was enough. No more needed to be said. They sat together. Watching life continue. Unaware of what was paid for it. Unaware of the bodies buried. The empires burned. The innocence lost. Just people. Living. Trying. The boy who'd run past came back. Laughing. Chasing a ball. His mother called after him. Smiling. Tired. Alive. Cade's throat tightened. But he smiled slightly. Because that mother didn't know. Didn't know how close she came to losing everything. Didn't know what monsters used to roam these streets. Didn't know what it cost to give her this moment. And that was the point. She shouldn't know. No one should. Some victories are quiet. Some sacrifices stay buried. Some heroes never get named. Elara stood up after a while. Cade looked up at her. Leaving already? I have a train to catch. Where to? Does it matter? No. I guess not. She started to walk away. Then stopped. Turned back. Thank you, she said. For letting me sit here. You don't need permission. I know. But thank you anyway. She adjusted her coat. And that's when Cade saw it. A flash of black fabric underneath. His shirt. The one she'd returned. Or one just like it. She wore it under her coat. Not for warmth. For memory. For the same reason he kept one folded in his drawer. Because some reminders shouldn't fade. Some scars should stay visible. Not to hurt. But to remember. To remember what was lost. What was saved. What mattered. Elara caught him looking. She didn't explain. Didn't need to. Just gave a small nod. Then walked away. Cade watched her go, disappearing into the crowd. Another ghost. Another survivor. He turned back to the park. The boy was still playing. Still laughing. Still alive. And that had to be enough. Because happiness wasn't the goal. Truth was. The truth that they did something terrible. The truth that it saved lives. The truth that both things could exist at once. Some stories don't end in happiness, they get real ones. If this made you feel something, someone else needs to see it too. Don't just scroll past this. Cade finished his coffee. Stood up. Walked away from the park. Back to his quiet life. His ordinary existence. No power. No empire. No control. Just days. One after another. And that was victory. Not the loud kind. Not the celebrated kind. The quiet kind. The kind that lets you sleep at night. Most nights anyway. That evening, Cade opened the drawer. Looked at the shirt inside. Touched it gently. Then closed the drawer again. He'd keep it there. Always. A reminder of the woman who destroyed his world to save it. A reminder of the choice she made. A reminder that love doesn't always look like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like understanding. Sometimes it looks like letting go. Sometimes it looks like two broken people who meet twice a year in coffee shops and never talk about the past. Because the past is heavy enough without carrying it between them. Cade lay in bed that night. Stared at the ceiling. Thought about his nephew. His sister. His empire. Everything he lost. Everything he gained. And he realized something. He wouldn't change it. Not because it didn't hurt. But because the alternative was worse. More death. More pain. More cycles of violence that never ended. Elara broke the cycle. At a cost neither of them could have imagined. But she broke it. And now children played in parks. Mothers smiled. Life continued. That had to mean something. Had to be worth something. Cade closed his eyes. And for the first time in years, he felt something close to peace. Not happiness. Not joy. Just peace. The quiet kind. The kind that whispers, you survived. You endured. You're still here. And that's enough. Somewhere across town, Elara sat in a small room. Wearing the black shirt. Staring at old photos. Crying softly. Because she survived too. But survival wasn't the same as living. And she wasn't sure she'd ever learn the difference. But she kept trying. For his nephew. For her sister. For everyone who died so others could live. She kept trying. And maybe that was enough too. Two broken people. Separate lives. Shared scars. Never together. Never whole. But alive. Still breathing. Still fighting. Still trying. And in a world that tried to destroy them both, that was victory. The quiet kind. The real kind. The only kind that mattered. Some stories don't end with kisses. Some don't end with revenge. Some just end with truth. The truth that people are complicated. That choices are impossible. That love and hate can exist in the same heart. That forgiveness isn't always possible. But understanding might be. And two people who once destroyed each other can learn to exist in the same world. Not together. But not enemies either. Just survivors. And that's how this story ends. Not with an answer. With a question. If you were Cade, would you have forgiven her? Or would you have walked away forever? There's no right answer. Just yours. And whatever you choose, you'll have to live with it. Just like they did. Just like we all do. With the choices that define us. The scars that shape us. And the quiet victories no one else sees. The end.